Inflation Reduction Act that was passed in 2021 for that, $2.7 trillion. There was 88,000 IRS agents that have been hired. And they're going to recoup that money. And do you know where they're going right now to recoup it? Directly into the dealerships, because they know that is the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest way for them to recoup. And the way they recoup it is off the fines and penalties.
Day 4, we not average Joes, we sales pros.
Ooh, this is bad. Did you know that Nissan's profits plummeted 99% in the first quarter of 2024? And reports just released show that they've taken a 40% hit, a drop collectively up to this point of the year, a 40% hit across the board. As a matter of fact, what I heard from Nissan is that you should not be shocked if you see one of your local Nissan dealerships closing their doors very soon. And guess what? This is just one of the many dominoes that is about to fall. One of the things about the automotive industry that I stress and I say all the time, it is the slowest changing industry I have ever seen, whether it be with terminology, certain processes, certain steps, and just certain things that we've seen. I see more reactionary activity than I do proactionary activity. And guess what? When the house is already on fire, it's a little bit too late to consider putting in, that you're saying that you should have smoke alarms going on, in the house to let you know that, hey, listen, the house may be about to burn down. You didn't have the smoke detectors. You had no idea of knowing that not only was it smoking, it was fully engulfed in flames. So let's get into it. But before I do, please make sure that you hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and turn on that notification bell and hit all, because that way when I upload videos, you get notified. And one of the things about it, when I bring these videos out, I'm never asking for cash apps or super chats or any of that other stuff that I see other people do. As a matter of fact, it is my pleasure and honor to deliver information to you. And I know, I get a nice little amount of views for what it is that I do and for my niche, because I'm not going to make just 1, 2, and 3 minute. Every piece of content and information that I share is to add value. So hitting the like button is currency when you're online. It helps get the video out. It helps the algorithm. And so if you would hit that like button and even share it, if you got the opportunity, that would be awesome. But enough of that crap. Let me get off into it. Now, this article here, let me get it pulled up. Here on Utopian, let me get back up here to the top. Let's check out what they say. All right. On Utopian, why nearly 40% of Nissan dealerships are reportedly losing money. Woo, that is not a good thing. Let's get right here, taking over from Matt for the morning dump. Okay, here's where we get into the discussion. It's been a very bad, no good year for Nissan. Not only did profits plummet 99% in the first quarter of 2024, the brands continue to bleed market share in America, and that's having some serious effects on the dealerships. An Automotive News report claims that roughly 38% of all Nissan dealerships are losing money, and that trend shows no signs of slowing down. And let's get off right here. It says about 38% of Nissan's 1,071 dealerships across the country are losing money. A retailer with knowledge of the matter told Automotive News. The average net profit for a dealership in the first half cratered 70% to $262,582. The red ink has led to attrition, with Nissan losing 8 franchise stores in this year alone. The pace and extent that store profitability has fallen is alarming, another dealer said. 5 dealers interviewed for this story who has not to be identified out of fear of retaliation. In many markets, Nissan dealers are at best selling half the volume that competing Honda, Toyota, and Subaru and Hyundai stores are selling, the person said. If you're not selling enough new cars, you're not generating enough trade-ins, which feed profit centers such as finance, service, and parts. So let's talk about it, okay? Now, what is happening, or what has happened also, is that we know there was a hard push to take the country to EVs, and it met with a lot of resistance. Not because people don't want the planet to be better. We all want the environment and everything, the water to be good, the air to be clean. We all want that. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is the environment, okay? And change is difficult for a lot of people, especially hard change. So trying to get an entire industry to pivot, which they did forcefully, because all of these brands can act like, oh, they just so EV great. There was some resistance because it cost them big money. Some stores, some brands have lost billions, yes, with a B, billions of dollars in their transition, and the sales, they're not able to recoup it through sales as of yet. I mean, there's still a 10%, less than a 10% market share with the EVs, right? So they tried to get everybody to go hardcore, but we know that gas fuel vehicles is obviously the more popular, the more commonly used. But the hybrid has slid in there because it gives the consumer the opportunity to feel good about doing something, going green. It's not a total gas car. It is a hybrid. So it makes them feel good. It helps their price there as far as their budget. It's more feasible for them economically. The dealership gets to move a unit. Customers happy, dealership happy, environmentalists are kind of happy. Are they ever really happy? Don't it seem like to me a lot of those people seem like, for them to be environmentalists and whatnot, they seem like some of the most miserable people in the world sometimes. But they're happy somewhat because at least it's a movement in the right direction. The problem came in is that Nissan failed to pay attention to the competitors and the market. So when Toyota is popping up with quality EVs, Honda quality EVs, Volkswagen, these brands saw what was going on, had a product to be able to service the general public. Nissan is very, very minimal in that regard. And one thing about it is, yeah, you can do pre-owned sales, but if you're not moving new units, your trade-ins decrease, your service department suffers, your finance department suffers. So the big push, the big thing is sales, but you got to have the right products. And then also Nissan has over 1,000 dealerships nationwide, more than even Honda. Okay. So they got so big and expanded to the point to where now the market seems oversaturated and the products are not meeting the demand. But another thing that's happening too, and I'm going to touch on this on another video, is their sales process and training has shot way down. And let me tell you what's happened. And I see this, obviously, if you're watching this video, you know who I am and what I do. I'm one of the best sales trainers in the automotive industry. My company, Sales Professionals of America Recruiting, work with dealer groups like, Morgan Automotive, Sonic, Group One. I mean, you name them. I do business with them or have done business with them. But I will tell you, and a lot of general managers that are taking over these spots, see, there's a difference. You got managing partners, and then you have, your general managers. Your general managers are, high level. Obviously, they run the store, but they're paid based off the gross profit, the net profits, gross profit, net profits, whatever their pay plan is set up on. They're based off of monies earned, revenue earned for that particular month. We're a managing partner or a somebody that's a part of the ownership, but it's still the general manager. Well, they have more of a vested interest in it. They're in it more so for the long term because they may not take monies for the month's revenue generation or whatnot. But in the long run, maybe annually they get some type of bonus. Maybe quarterly they get some type of bonus that is based off of the production of the store. So one general manager their money is solely based off of production of the store, and obviously the sales is a big component of that. The managing partner or somebody that has a more vested interest in it, they're more so looking at the whole big picture, the enchilada. So they can hang in there for the 6 month, 1 year, 5 year type of return. Where the person that does not have that type of ownership or stake in the company or hasn't been with them very long, they're more so concerned about right here, right now, what are we doing? So why would I bring that up? Why would that be important? For two reasons. Number one, when it's all about now, and you know that, okay, in order for me to take these sales up, in order for me to get better people, in order for us to be more profitable, I'm going to have to spend a little bit of money. But whoa. If I spend a little bit of money, is that going to take away from how much money I'm going to make this month? If I'm used to making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month as the general manager of that store, and I know I may have to invest 10, 15, $20,000, one time, or maybe a couple of times over the year, but the return will be 10x, 20x. Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to sacrifice a couple of months of my money's going down because we had to invest some money to generate, better results? Am I willing to do that? Versus the individual that says, well, listen, man, I have a stake in this thing. I'm in it for the long haul. And I know that any investments that are made right now, I'm willing to do that for the long-term recoupment. Now, here's why that's important, because I am in dealerships all over the country. And I work with several Nissan stores. Luckily, the Nissan stores in Florida and Winchester, Virginia, and in Texas that I do train at are amongst the top 50. Now, you heard there's over 1,000 Nissan stores. The ones I've worked with are, well, 2 of them are in the top 50. All 3 are in the top 100, which means that they're doing it. They're slinging some metal over there. But in some of the other Nissan stores where I've had conversations with general managers of several Nissan locations that said, oh, Brian, we're great. Little do they know, I see the reports. I can see how many units you're moving and other stores are moving. I'm constantly looking at rankings and who's where. So I can see that there's an issue. And guess what? Recently, this was 2 months ago, I say recently, did a secret shopper on a Nissan store in Florida. The secret shopper went in and the process was horrible. Now, prior to that, though, the general manager and the general sales manager told the representative for the sales training company that I own that they were fine. They handled everything in-house and they were good to go. Their process is on point and their people know what they're doing. When I was able to present to them the review sheet of what they did and what they did not do, the quality of service and the lack of quality of service, they acted like, oh, well, yeah, we know this person, this, that, and the other. Well, we know they're not that good. You just got one of our slackers. Yeah, but you just got through telling me that you do it in-house and everything is all good. And if this is a slacker, how do you know if everybody else isn't slacking off? Because here's the deal. If you know that as far as products go, you don't have the products to be able to really satisfy the market like your competitors do, the one thing you cannot afford to do is to have poor levels of service. And that's when your associates are going out, greeting, meeting, seating these guests to try to help bridge the gap between the products and services that you offer at your dealership and whatever problems or needs that this individual or these individuals may be having. So if you know, okay, man, as far as when it comes to these hybrids, we really are getting our heads knocked off with that. But the one thing we have to make sure we do, because if we have to educate somebody on another particular vehicle type or product that we have here, our level of service, the way we treat our customers, our process has got to be spot on. Everybody has got to be going in unison with results-based process that takes the customer on a journey and makes it easier for you to be able to educate and help them do business with you at your store. And so when I'm seeing these stores that are, when they talk about cutting budgets, you know what they very rarely cut, if ever? They not only do they not cut the marketing budgets, they increase it. But you know what they do cut? Training budgets. They cut budgets for doing special types of education workshops and whatnot for their salespeople. Do y'all know that some of the dealerships, like here in Florida, I spoke to a gentleman over at Gary Yeoman's Ford, and one of the things that I really, really like about this dealership is that regardless, if somebody brings in the salespeople, they're trained up, ready to go just as far as on the foundation of the road to the sale. This company, they'll get the people are handed off to them. And when I say, I don't care who you are, if you're an 18-year-old green pea or an 80-year-old veteran, you are going through the streamline of the company classroom, role play, and development process, not so much just to rush somebody out there to the floor, but to make sure that when they hit it, they got it, right? And so a lot of dealerships really need to be tying into that, especially right now. We got the economy going crazy. We got all these election things and people are afraid and terrified. And guess what? You may not have hybrids on your store, or you may have minimal EVs, if at all. But does that mean that now the opportunity is just gone and there's no way we can help this person? Absolutely not. You and I both know that oftentimes somebody comes in with the desire or the interest in one thing, and then after just getting a little bit of information and learning a little bit more, find out that there is something, maybe even a better suited option that may be available for them, and they're open to learning about it. And what do you know? Boom, hour, 2, 3, 4 hours. Guess what? They're driving out in something else. But if you lack the products or the vehicle types that are best suited for the customers in your market, and your sales associates' level of service is subpar, if not lower, it's only a matter of time before we're going to see Nissan stores just dropping like flies. And again, this is just the first domino to drop, because please remember, with that big bailout, that not bailout, but that Inflation Reduction Act that was passed in 2021 for that, $2.7 trillion, there was 88,000 IRS agents that have been hired. And they're going to recoup that money. And do you know where they're going right now to recoup it? Directly into the dealerships, because they know that is the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest way for them to recoup. And the way they recoup it is off the fines and penalties. Penalties and fines for misrepresentation when speaking with a customer and getting them inside, or when they're sitting down and it is something different that they get. Failing to disclose optional features, optional products that are coming with the vehicle, as opposed to making the customer believe, oh, you got to do it, it's all bundled. You know, you're supposed to have those things itemized. Those are other penalties. Walking in and files are not behind double locked doors and file cabinets with keys in the secure area. Driver's license on the desk, application. There's a number of things. And guess what? Each one of these penalties is $30,000. I know one dealership right now that they came in and they pop up on you. The SEC, they pop up on you like a secret shopper. You won't even know it's them. And they'll go through the process with you and asking you questions. And they'll be looking around unbeknownst to anybody in there. And then when they, next thing you know, the owner or the general manager is having a meeting with everybody in the dealership, letting them know that the itch just hit the fan. And here's what I mean. One dealership got hit with $1.9 million in penalties. I think they had something like, and the math may be off a little bit, but they had like 27 or 28 violations, penalties, things that they caught that they did that was, not in alignment with the legislation that has been passed. And the legislation is the CARS Act. If you haven't already, go look it up. It's the CARS Act, okay? And it's a way to protect consumers where salespeople can't tell them one thing and then give them something else. Dealerships no longer can just bundle all of these optional things and make a customer believe, oh, all of that's just one price. It's factored in there without them having the option to decide whether they do or whether they do not want it. And then so there's a number of protections and clauses in there to protect the consumers, but also protect the dealerships. Because if they're doing it the right way, it minimizes them being caught up in lawsuits and all types of stuff, right? So 1.9 million, and they had 90 days to pay it off. And if you don't pay it off in 90 days, guess what happens? You lose that dealership. And right now, this has only been 2 months ago. I'll keep you updated on whether they came up with it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to hopefully be able to come up with it. I don't really know. They're a big group, and I don't want to put their name out there and, and black their name out and have anybody coming after me. But it's real. They're going into dealerships all around the country. This is happening now in real time. And if your sales associates aren't skilled on the sales process, it's no longer about just greeting somebody and talking to them about the car and what type of buddy you got, blah, blah, blah. And within 5 minutes, they're doing a demo drive trying to fill out a credit app. Even if it is filled out in 5 minutes, there's no substance. There's no type of a rapport built, no type of workable trust. What petals to the onion have been peeled back? Very little. Matter of fact, you know how many times the sales rep is out there trying to get a customer to buy a vehicle and they ain't even gave them their name. So these things of where we can just go out and everybody can do the process different. And this veteran says it one way, this Green Pea does it the other way. That will cost your store big time. And none of those reps are going to kick in any money to help you pay that fine. So why, when I see these numbers for like Nissan, plummeted 99% in the first quarter, and yet you would think that every general manager of Nissan stores that are struggling right now, boy, training would be first and foremost nonstop. And here's the kicker. When stores are, we got people, we got to get the flow going, we got to get them out there. Okay, there's nothing worse than having the wrong sales rep help the right customer. Nothing worse than that. Because not only do you have a blown opportunity, that person may not ever come back to your store. And now you're sitting with inventory on your lot that should have been gone. And then you got new stuff that's going to be coming in. And while the general managers and general sales managers play musical chairs, one gets fired, another one plugged in. Between 8 to 18 months later, gone. Do you know the tenure right now, the average tenure of general managers right now is 18 to 24 months? GMs walk in. Some GMs are walking in with their 2-year plan of escape or whatever you want to call it. They say, man, let me just get in there and make as much as I can before this thing ends, which is why we're seeing the decrease in the level of service, the decrease in the ability to hold margins. And then people try to say it's because of the economy. That's BS. People are still going out buying $30,000 Birkin bags. And we're not talking about Hollywood and Beverly Hills. We're talking about some average Joe, regular people. It is about identifying the amplitude of the need. And then during tough economic times, it's even more important for people to make sure they got reliable transportation. So it's not that people don't have the money. It's that the individuals that are helping the people believe that since they're mentally broke, and when I say mentally broke, poverty mindset, everybody else may be. And so when they engage with people, they're engaging with them from this poverty mindset, which also makes the customer feel like, you know what? Yeah, I do like it, but I don't feel like it's worth what you telling me it's worth. Matter of fact, based on your energy, I want it for less. And what does the sales rep say? I'm just happy to get a sale. Okay. Whoa, what happened to the days and the times of where when you give somebody such an experience, listen, price is always going to be on the table. But when the experience with you and the value built in the product or service exceeds the price, price becomes a little bit less relevant. But it's almost like we've given up on that. And we just assume that everybody is price focused when they're making a purchase, a vehicle purchase. And again, price is always going to be there. But it's bigger than about price. It's bigger than that. It's all about the presentation. And it's all about the person. Yeah, you may not get all the money when you go on for the deals, but it is still your effort should be. And when I say get the money, meaning closing the deal at whatever the price is. When you present that to these people, when you get done, based on the information that you gather from them, you should be able to present it in a way where you touch on the features of this vehicle in a way that, or your sales reps touch on the features in a way that this customer feels like it was made, customized for them. This is how we get the margins back up until the type of products, the vehicles, the hybrids, whatever it is, can be put back into the store. But what we have now, we have woe is me. The desperation kicks in. Now they just try to start just slinging anything just to try to keep some money coming in. And guess what? It just leads to more bad habits, which leads to less profits coming in, which leads to more problems, which leads to more closures. Listen, don't let the house be on fire before you realize that, man, you should have some smoke alarms in there. The smoke alarms are blaring right now. Margins are dropping for all stores and all people who are unwilling to adapt and change. And then I got one more point. I'm going to leave you with this. Everybody walks around with these mini computers in our pocket, okay? And the computer was created based off of the human brain. Now, my phone, my AT&T Samsung 22 Galaxy Plus, yes, Android, it asks me to update the software maybe 10 times a year. Your phone may do the same. Yours may not do 10. Let's say yours is 3. 3 software updates a year. And it's asking for those software updates so the phone can work out any of the kinks and whatnot, and it can perform at its best with all of the upgrades and the updates going on with the networks and the search engines. We need to update and upgrade software to make sure the phone works at its best. Do its peak performance. Now, I began to think about that, and man, the mini computer requires software updates minimum 3 times a year to be able to perform at its peak. And the mini computer was created based off of the human brain. So if our mini computer requires 3 software updates A year to perform at its peak. How many software updates are required for the human brain for us to perform at our peak? You see, you got people in 2024 that are operating with the same software from 2022, 2020. Hell, some of them even back to 1999. They haven't learned anything new. They haven't developed any new abilities. They have not been able to transform the way that they think into a more prosperous, positive, and good-looking future. They just been they haven't done it. And therefore, they wonder, why are they struggling? With all of the updates and the different changes and evolutions in society, your software has not worked out. The kinks have been upgraded so that you can perform at your peak in 2024. And that's required. It's like I have an Alienware laptop. It's like my Alienware laptop, me trying to install Windows 95 on it and wondering why it's not working right. The software is out of date, so it doesn't matter how great the laptop is, doesn't matter how expensive it is, how good it looks. The software won't work because it's too outdated. And it's the same thing with what we got going on. And that's whether you're a general manager, general sales manager, or even a sales rep. It is all about, so if you're a GM of a store, does it take for them to talk to you and say, hey, listen, if you don't get the numbers right, we're going to have to replace you, before you realize we may need to do a little something different? As a general sales manager, does it require them looking to replace you before you say, you know what? I run this department and I do a lot of great things and I'm very busy. Maybe I should look at other ways for us to get quality salespeople and for us to get somebody that's training and working with these people, maybe 1 week out of a quarter, maybe 1 week out of a half a year, maybe it's 1 week, 2 weeks for the whole year. Whatever it is, if you're a sales rep, do they have to tell you that you got 1 month to be able to show that you got the goods or the skills, or you're going to be terminated before you realize that you may want to start listening and watching some training stuff? You may want to get your word tracks down. You might want to make sure your presentation is on point. Does it require that? Because I tell you, the stores that are the most pleasurable to do business with, I love, listen, when I see people that come on for salespeople, especially somebody that might be 65, never made more than $45,000 a year in their life. They get on at this dealership, they go through the training, they're following everything I sent them, and then at the end of the year, I hear that this person made $70,000. They were just getting started and they were 65. Or to see that 21-year-old who, people were nervous to hire them because they're a little wet behind the ears, but they had some maturity, they seemed sincere. And I've given them an opportunity at a dealership, gave them the training, took them through it. And guess what? Some of these young folks are making more money than their parents. To see a single mother who was struggling to be able to get on her feet, buy that house, buy that car, and put her babies in better schools. To see that man to be able to provide for his children and give his wife or significant other the opportunity to go back to school or to be a homemaker. That's what this is about. At the same time, though, it is about identifying and putting the right people in the right seat on the bus. And just know the SEC is coming. This is the first domino to drop. Their profits dropped 99% in the first quarter. Nearly 40% of their stores are struggling. 8 closed down this year alone. Don't let that be you or anybody that's close to you. And if you do run a group, and you and I both know, that salespeople can always do a little bit better, learn a little bit more, but it's consistency. See, a lot of stores, even if they go in a meeting and it's an hour-long meeting, they talk for 20, 30 minutes and say, hey, make sure you do this and walk out. And if you ask them, hey, do y'all provide training? Oh, yeah, we train every day. That's not training. That's a conversation. And sometimes you need to pull the people off the floor that need to work. They don't need to be in front of any customers. They need to be in that classroom for 2, 3, 4 days. They need that. They need that to be going through live interactive role plays. They need that to be facing some resistance and figuring out what word tracks to use for specific objections or issues or concerns. They need that, because taking those 2, 3, 4, 5 days of taking them off that floor and putting them in a controlled environment to be able to increase their abilities and their skills, their word track, their psychological understanding of what's going on will bring you back far more in revenue than what you may have lost with them away from the floor. And if they're struggling, is it really a loss? You might find out that your sales shot up, having them often in the classroom, getting better. And now the right people are helping the right customers at the right time. And again, I don't want to be too long-winded with this. I already have been, but the biggest takeaway from this, it's crazy. 99%, their profits dropped 99% in the first quarter. That is nuts. That's nuts. With over 1,000 stores, I would not be shocked if by the end of 2024, or by this time next year, 2025, they've even lost 20, 30, 40 different dealerships. And if you're at a Nissan store, you already know what I'm talking about. But it's not over. It's far from over. You just know that, okay, if I'm missing out on certain products that other competitors, my competition may have, I have to be able to exceed them in the quality of service, exceed them, making sure that our pricing is on point, exceed them, making sure that our marketing is extremely targeted, specific, and can minimize losses. And if given the opportunity, I would love to work with you, partner with you, to put some hustle behind that muscle of your team and help increase your unit sales, be able to increase your net profits for the store, be able to improve your customer rating within your customers within your area, to be able to enhance your community relationships. How? By making sure you have a team of sales associates that are prepared, that are trained up, that are productive and ready to go. And all it takes is a simple phone call for us to set that up. I'll ask a few questions just to learn about what's going on, just to make sure that I can deliver on exactly what it is that I'm saying I can do. And one thing is this, because I don't work with everybody. Some people, I just say, listen, I'd love to help you. It's either time, location, they don't have the budget. I don't, whatever that is. But one thing I will assure you, if your store, your group is someone that we, put something together and we can work together, my whole intention is fully understanding what's going on in that sales department, where you want to be number-wise, and the opportunity and the time in there to rock with these people. And one good thing that your more successful stores do, they know if I just came in there for 1 week, left, the salespeople will literally be waiting for the management to forget even checking in to make sure they're following everything. Because that's what usually happens. There's no consistency. But they see me there 1 week of a month. Then let's say 3 months later, I'm back again. 2-3 months later, I'm back again. Now they realize, man, these folks are really making an investment. And what they're gaining from the training, what they're gaining from the time we spend together, it's just a win-win. And yes, obviously, I'm speaking about myself. But even if it's not, even if you are working with someone else, another company, you better not be, but But even if you are working with another company, the demands and the expectations should definitely be the same. But hey, listen, man, shout out to all my people at Nissan stores. It's hard out there right now. It's hard out there. By knowing that, make sure, though, that your process is on point. Everything from your presentation of self to the words that you speak to the way that you present options. It's critical right now for you to be able to help save your store from going through the same fate that 8 other stores found themselves in this year. So, hey, listen, I'm going to get up out of here. I'm Brian Maxwell. I want to say thank you for checking in. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you'll see that little bell. Click it, hit all, and it'll turn on the notifications. So when I upload another video, you'll be notified. Other than that, I'm Brian Maxwell, and I look forward to seeing you at the dealership and at the top.
Did you know, according to a recent Forbes article, 58% of customers will pay more for better customer service? As the automotive market gets more competitive, sales training is more important than ever. This is where Brian Maxwell comes in. For over a decade, Brian Maxwell provides sales training for some of the biggest dealer groups in the country, and for manufacturers such as Ford, Chevy, Toyota, and many others. Brian has also trained over 10,000 automotive sales associates worldwide. Brian Maxwell's value is in the fact that he provides real-world, simple-to-follow, and easy-to-apply sales training to your team. His training helps sales teams convert consistently with higher profit margins and how to leverage social media to generate qualified leads. He does this by applying all aspects of learning, utilizing classroom training, role-playing, and one-on-one evaluations. This allows your sales teams to hear, see, and apply selling methods that flat out work. Knowing that results and profits are the only way to establish a long-term working relationship, Brian Maxwell's focus is results and profit-orientated. So, if you'd like to supercharge the customer experience, your sales team's production, and your bottom line, schedule a time for a consultation with Brian Maxwell today.